Welcome to the My Year Patterns Academy podcast, the business podcast for entrepreneurs who want to create massive impact. I am your host, Daniela Schreckengast. Today's episode is so good because we will be talking about employee mindset and identity versus entrepreneur mindset and identity, and how you can identify if you're currently actually running from an employee mindset. And honestly, more often than not, you probably are working from the employee mindset and not the entrepreneur mindset. And you're not aware of it, but awareness is the first step, because then you can change your action and the way of thinking and the way you're moving with your business and through your business challenges, because it will be the difference between a successful business and a business that's barely hanging on by the threads. Okay. So when you move from your employee mindset to the entrepreneur mindset, when you make that pivot, when you start thinking like the entrepreneur, your business will explode. Will it explode right in the first moment? Probably not, because you need to actually learn how to do it. But the more you do it, the more you take action, the more you embody it, the easier it will be. And once you've nailed it, no one can take that away from you. And this skill is transferable in every area of your life, not just in business. So we'll be talking about this, and I'm going to go in depth about my own story so that you might be able to see yourself if this is you as well, or if you're already maybe working from that employee or if you're already working from the entrepreneur identity, and there's just a couple of things that you need to fine tune or add to your mindset and your action taking. I will be talking about the most obvious sign that you're currently running from an employee identity. And the most obvious sign, honestly, is if you currently have a schedule that is not filled with clients you would like to work, and it has opening, or you're working days and hours that you actually don't want to work. If this is currently your schedule, if it's not like you want it to be, you are most likely running from an employee identity. If you currently have a schedule that you love the people that are showing up, you love the hours that you're working, exactly the times you're working, taking the time off exactly as you want, and your numbers are perfect, like you want them, they keep growing, they keep reflecting your growth, then you can actually skip this episode. Congratulations. You are running like an entrepreneur should be running. You have embodied the entrepreneur identity. But if you haven't, good. That's what we're here for. I ran my business from the employee mindset, 100%. And I thought I was so professional because I did research everywhere, like YouTube, books, Google. Like, I was behind it. I was like, how do I open a legit business? And I was like, oh, an LLC? Oh, great. I'll open an LLC. Getting an EIN. I got an EIN. Get a business location. Got a business location. Get a business name. Ask all my friends and family members and nail down a business name. Get a logo. Hired someone to get a logo. Get a website. I did that. I got a domain. I got a website. Put my logo on. Put an about section on. Put my whole menu on. And I was like, I'm rocking this. But truth be told, I only had 2 to 5 clients per week, and you can't pay yourself from 2 to 5 clients per week, because I got trapped in some ad running costs, a 6-month contract because I was desperate to find clients, and then had those costs, and then I also had the costs of actually rent, scheduling system, website fees, all of that. And you know what? I had to have a second job to actually have money for myself, because I couldn't pay myself for my business. And I was like, I need to find clients. I need to find clients and I need to figure this out. So obviously I need to run ads. Google gave me some free money to run ads. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. Yelp gave me free money to run ads. And I was like, yeah. Now we're talking. So I threw that on Yelp to get some clients. Nothing. Crickets. Zero. Nada. And I was like, man, this is not working. It's not working. Not even with free money. And then someone knocked on my door and I was like, you wanna to advertise at King Supers, which is a local store here, at the back of the receipt. And I was like, okay, it's like this works perfect for businesses like yours. Here's the thing. First off, I was gullible. I was being sold very easily because I was craving solutions. And when you crave solutions, you are an easy target for sales reps. And he was a really good sales rep, but let me tell you, I was trapped in a 6-month contract and had zero ROI from spending 2 grand on those ads on the back of the receipt. Although he was like, we have a design team. These type of ads work the best. We're going to help you, yada, yada, yada. Zero. Now that I know more, now that I've closed that knowledge gap that I didn't back then, I also know what exactly I did wrong. And now that I know more, I think if I'd still have my massage business, I actually could make those ads work because I know what makes the difference. The difference between just slapping out, telling people that I have a business, and me being positioned as someone who solves a problem, a real world problem, a problem my clients actually were having. So if you currently look at your business and you're like, I've done all of that, like, yes, you hired some expert, but you like most of it you did yourself, and most of it was like looking at other people's businesses, getting some advice from YouTube, getting advice from Google, all these things. Here's one thing. In one of those desperate moments of trying to find clients, feeling absolutely defeated, I joined a massage therapist Facebook group and I asked, where are you guys finding clients? I was desperate. Ads obviously weren't working. I had business bills, and every single client I served went straight to my business bills and not into my pocket. And I was like, I'm not sure how much longer I can do this because at that point, we're like scratching on the year mark, right? And I asked this in a Facebook group, and I got very standard employee mindset advice, a lot of it, where I'm like, if someone would have asked me where to get clients, I would have answered that. Although I had zero idea because clearly I had only 2 to 5 clients, and that was more luck than anything else. That was not marketing strategy. That was pure luck that I had those clients. Like I didn't even there was no strategy behind it, but I would have given exactly those advice. And then there was one advice that stung like a bee stinging you in the lip. Like it stung, it hurt. And I ignored it for a while. But then I was like, you know what? It's like a month later and I still don't have more clients, although I did all the other advice that other people were giving. And I still don't have more clients. So I guess I'm going back to that. Now, what she said was, you need to close that knowledge gap. You have no idea what you're doing, and that is not how you run a business. You need to learn how to run a business. You need to have a mentor who's teaching you how, preferably, not preferably, but you need someone who has done what you want to do. Here is Rebecca. She's the best. And I was like, okay, I'll have to look her up. I looked her up, and sure enough, she is like a massage business coach, helping massage therapists with their businesses and how to actually run a successful business. And she had a lot of good reviews and stuff. And so I booked a call with one of her sales reps. And honestly, I was like, cool, cool, cool. I'm gonna put the down payment down because, okay, it sounds good. Down payment was 1,000, but then I waited another, I think, 2 months to pay the rest. You know why? Because the rest was 4 grand. So it totaled to 5. And I didn't know where that money should come from. I had some emergency funds, but 5 grand emergency fund is not necessarily going to get me through 6 months of emergency. And I was nauseous just thinking about spending my emergency fund on that. And I'm married. Like I had to talk with my husband because it wasn't just my emergency fund. We were house broke because we bought this house. And I was like, this is our emergency fund, which is clearly not a good emergency fund. And I'm about to spend it on a coach that doesn't give you a guarantee that you're actually gonna profit from your investment. So I waited another couple months and then I was like, okay, I already did the down payment, right? So I paid. I paid for her group coaching program with group calls. And as I went through her group coaching program, first off, I was a little bit proud because I already had like a legit business because I had an LLC and an EIN. But she's like, she's not going to cover this. She's just going to like, I'm just going to let you know you need to do your research and you need to make a like an informed decision here. And I was like, oh, I got this. And then we're going through the branding section and we're going through all of that. And I'm so glad about this community. I'm going to tell you because I brought my logo there and my business name. And I didn't want to rebrand because rebranding meant you have to get a new logo, you have to do a new business name, then you have to tell everyone the IRS and all the new business name. Then you have to change it on your websites, you have to change it on your flyer, on your business cards. And I was like, this is first, it's money I don't want to spend. And it's work I don't want to do. And I really didn't want to do it. So I was like, can you guys look at my logo and business name? Do I need to do the actual rebrand or can I just go with it? And I'm going to put my old business logo here. And here's what the community, including my coach, said. The word elevating is going to attract creepy old dudes asking for happy endings. And she wasn't wrong because those were the kind of emails and text messages and calls I've gotten. Like, do you offer happy endings? And I was like, but I am in Colorado Springs and there's like elevate this, elevating that, elevate here. So it's like a very common business name. And she's like, yeah, but not in the massage industry because it means elevate. And I was like, no. I was like, oh my God, okay, I guess I have to do the rebrand. And then someone else pointed out, and your logo looks like a sperm and an egg. And I cannot see it now. I couldn't see it. What I saw was a person laying, but it was also like the mountains, and then it was the sun, and then the reflection of it. That's what I was seeing, right? In my mind, it was a beautiful logo. And then someone pointed out it looks like a sperm and an egg, and that person was absolutely right. Now, compare and combine that with elevating massage therapy. Of course, I got creepy old dudes asking for happy endings. Here's my new logo that I then went with. Now, I closed that business since then, and I do now business coaching. But this is the logo I went with, and I was resistant to everything about that logo because Colorado Springs Therapeutic Massage is the most boring name you could go with. But you know what? It worked. I'm going to tell you why. First off, an expert told me it will work because SEO is a thing, and Google loves when you have a local business, it loves when you have the city in it because people quite literally Google Colorado Springs massage near me. Massage near me, massage Colorado Springs. And any of these searches, I popped up in the top 5 simply because of my business name. Was it boring? Absolutely. Was it effective? 100%. And this is the difference between looking online at other people's businesses and looking for what works. Because if you don't know what works, you can look at all the business names and you're not identifying that the ones who have actually used certain strategies, and those are the ones that are like actually having more clients simply because of their business name. Simple things like that. So my new logo, boring name, using the mountains instead of a overused massage logo, but it worked. People remembered it because it wasn't a lotus flower or a yogi or a massage person. It was the mountains, which like works for this area, and it was the name of this town. And then massage therapy was crystal clear. And with that, we continued to my website. And I learned that there is some magic and some psychology behind messaging. And if you understand how to market and position yourself, you will attract your dream clients. But you also need to know who do you want to serve, because if you are marketing your business in order to serve everyone and their grandmother, you will drown in the sea because there's too many doing exactly the same because they're doing exactly what you used to do, operating a business from an employee identity. And since I hired Rebecca as the expert and I spent 5 grand for this knowledge, I wasn't going to dismiss it. So I picked a niche. And I picked a niche that aligned with me and was needed, which was injury and surgery recovery, which was absolutely my jam because I came from a medical background with a PT and a massage license from Germany, working in hospitals or with people that were actively recovering from surgery. So I really had that background knowledge. I had lymphatic drainage as my massage tools, right? And even if I can't do PT, I still, have that knowledge, knowing what is actually happening with the tissue. So I really leaned into it. And I used my niche and then what I've learned about how to message and how to actually solve a problem instead of just listing your skills and listing your menu items. I did that and used that knowledge on my website. And I turned my website completely around. And it was, instead of just me talking about my skills and all my education and further classes I did and all the type of things I did, I talked about the problem and how I'm solving it and why I'm solving it and how I'm the expert in positioning myself as the expert. And instead of having 15 different massages to choose from, they had like 3 options because first off, I wasn't trying to solve everyone's problem and serve everyone anymore. I was trying to solve a specific problem. And then they had 3 options to choose from. So I really gave them less choices. And this worked like a charm, because people then could refer me also better because they were like, oh, you had a surgery. You got to see my massage therapist, Daniela. She is a wizard when it comes to that. She knows what she's doing. She has a PT background and she has helped me with my surgery. And it really worked. It really worked. So the difference was back then, as an employee, I did what everyone else was doing without knowing if it was actually working. As an entrepreneur, with an thinking like an entrepreneur and acting like an entrepreneur, I realized I need to close knowledge gaps. And that's not happening with Google and YouTube because there's too much information out there from too many people. You need to actually hire someone to help you who has done what you want to do. So what happened to my business when I hired that coach and I implemented everything and I closed that knowledge gap, very specific to my massage business. That was her jam, right? So I completely closed that knowledge gap and I started getting clients. New clients, more clients, consistently more clients, most importantly, on repeat. It started rippling from month to month to month. And then I hit a ceiling. And this is so interesting. This was the most interesting ceiling I've ever hit. I've made just enough money to replace my old income. I thought I finally did it. I'm finally an entrepreneur. I'm smart now. Like I closed that knowledge gap. And then I hit that income ceiling and I realized that I was plateauing at exactly the same amount of money that I did as an employee at the last place before I quit there. And I realized something. And that's the difference, right? I was already thinking like the entrepreneur now. I wasn't thinking like the employee anymore. I was like, what does the entrepreneur do? Close the knowledge gap. You got to ask people what's happening. Why am I not growing any further? What am I getting caught on? What am I not doing right? What am I missing here? And I didn't see it. I'm to this day, I work with coaches and mentors. To this day, I have since then spent over 50K on mentorship. And mentorship has been the only thing that has ever gotten me a return of investment faster than any ads. Honestly, better than any ads I've ever ran because they showed me what wasn't working. And I'm going to tell you exactly what it was. My stinking thinking. I was thinking like an entrepreneur, like I need to close knowledge gaps, but I was still doubting myself. Everything I did, I still had doubt. The person who waited months before she actually hired that mentor, I was still operating from that pattern. And someone said, your thinking, your mind is still trapped and you're still stuck in doubt. And unless you actually break through that, you will never make it to the next level. Now, for me, it was doubt, right? And it was clear to that person, but it can be fear, right? It can be any other anxiety, whatever it is. For me, it was crippling doubt, self-doubt, not trusting myself. So I did the next thing. Now that my business model was working and I had strategies that were working, it was time to upgrade my mind, to upgrade the way I think and operate on a subconscious level. And honestly, that's where Rebecca came in again, because she wasn't just a coach that shared strategies for her, like for a massage business. She also, in the meantime, did further education classes and studied the mind and then shared it with me. And I worked with her and it completely transformed my business. I went from 2,500 bucks a month to 9K months. And honestly, every time I'm struggling in my business now, the first thing I do is working on my mind and break through whatever layer is coming up first before I change anything else. And it works like a charm. So if you currently have identified that you're operating from that employee mindset and you're operating from that employee identity, but you want to operate from the entrepreneur mindset and identity, I'm asking you, which one did you resonate with the most? Like, what did you notice in yourself that you're doing? Maybe it's something completely different, but because I said something, it like became obvious to you. Drop it in the comments below or reach out with an email to me. I want to know because I'm still growing and I'm always growing and I will always be growing and I will always be curious about where you currently are at your business, where you're stuck, so I can better help you and create better content for you. So let me know in a comment or send me an email. And I hope this one has given you the awareness that you were seeking. Thank you so much. Until next time.